Hey gardeners, welcome back. Last time we looked at the very simple process of figuring out when to start your seeds, and the prime point from the last video was do not start your seeds too early, especially tomatoes, peppers. They'll do nothing but suffer for it. What we're going to do today, I have to do a little bit of planting. I'm going to plant some Swiss chard and some kale. Now if I look at the back of both of these packages, we have a transplant before planting out date of about 4 to 6 weeks. If I were putting these in my garden, I probably wouldn't start them quite yet. However, you've got to remember that what I'm trying to do as a commercial grower is have seedlings ready for the stores. Kale, lettuce are quite hardy. They can actually go out when you're still having light frosts. So people like to have kale and lettuce in the stores the end of April, very first week of May. That's why I'm planting it a little earlier than you need to plant it. What we plant into is really up to you. I'm a commercial grower, so I use planting trays. These are called 601s. The reason they're called 601s, this is a sheet, a single sheet that sits in a tray. There are 6 compartments, and each compartment only has one opening. So this is a 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0, 1. If we had a 606, we would have 6 different containers, and each container would have 6 little cells. So you would have a 606, 6 individual containers with 6 cells each. Now I plant in these mass plantings because I plant a lot of seedlings. I probably plant 25 or 30,000 seedlings a spring. If I went through the process of planting one seed in each little individual cup, I don't have the space to do that. I plant mass plantings. When the seedlings are up, I break them up, and we'll show you how to do this, and then transplant them into 806s or 606s or individuals. So we'll show you how to plant either in mass plantings or in individuals. What I am planting into is a standard commercial growing mix. I happen to use and like the Lambert's LM3. It comes either in an all-purpose or an organic. The only difference between the two is what they use as a wetting agent. It's your decision. Same mix, just what they use as a wetting agent. And the wetting agent is what allows the peat moss to be able to take up water. Any commercial mix is a scientifically designed product to give you a proper balance between water retention and aeration. You can go out and buy all sorts of fancy seedling starting mixes and charged mixes. I use this for everything. I start my seeds in it, I germinate in it, I transplant into it, and I even grow my own vegetables in containers in this one mix. It's the only mix that I use for the entire process. It comes in a 3.8 cubic foot compressed bale, and when you take it out of the bale, it's very dry. Any of you who have used peat moss before and tried to water it, it's very dry. So what I do is I take it and put it into a big mixing tub, spray water into it, mix it up, spray water into it, mix it up, spray water into it, mix it up until I get a very moist mix. Moist so that it will hold its shape, but no water comes out. When you're planting your seeds, you want it nice and moist, but not saturated with water. So I get it nice and moist. I put it into my containers, whether it's into the 601s or into individual pots. When I put them in the 601s, I just fill it up out of the container, and then I'll usually raise it up about 8-10 inches and just drop it onto the floor or the container top, and it compresses it down a little bit. And then what I'll do is I'll just take a empty 601 cell, press it down a little, and just even the surface out so my seeds will set evenly. I've done it to all 5 of these except this one. I'll just show you. I just take this. I'm not pushing down hard. I'm just firming it down a little bit and getting the top of the mix nice and even. Now I could either go through the thing of taking the seeds out, putting one, putting another. You'll see big chunks of branches and stuff. Some people tell you, oh my gosh, you got to sift it. Don't worry about it. Like I said, I do 30,000 seedlings a year. Everything germinates perfectly in this. I take my seeds, put a bunch in my hand, sprinkle them on. You may be sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, they're all going to get growing into each other. And you know what? You're correct. But when we get to the little video showing you how to deal with transplants, you'll see why that's not even a consideration. This allows me to plant a lot of seedlings very quickly. A thing I forgot to mention about reading your seed pack, there's some very critical information on the seed packs that a lot of people overlook. In addition to the transplanting date, when to start your seeds, information will be on here of how deep to cover the seed. Most seeds will want you to cover in that 1/4 inch, but some seeds actually require light to germinate. So if I didn't read this petunia seed package and I covered my seeds, they probably wouldn't germinate. Right on the packet, do not cover seed. Seeds need light to germinate, so make sure you know whether your seed should be covered or not. If you cover it and it's not supposed to be covered, you probably won't get any germination. These seeds are standard in the sense that they all need to be covered in that range of a 1/4 inch. I'm probably putting in, oh gosh, it's probably 200 seeds in here. And again, you'll see when we get to the transplant process, that's fine. I've got my Swiss chard seeds in. Now you have the choice of either covering it with some of the moist mix. I happen to like using a horticultural grade vermiculite. It allows the seeds to breathe well. I put a handful on. I'm done. The only thing I need to do from this point is to just write out a label so that I know what's in the plant container. Whatever you do, Swiss chard, whatever, and then I put a date so that I know when they went in. If I don't see any germination in, say, a week, I know that there's probably something wrong in the chamber. The seeds, the plants got too dry, too cold, so I just put a date, and I'm good to go. If I'm planting individual containers, you can do something as simple as take 2 or 3 seeds, 1, 2, 3, press them in a little bit if you want. You can take a little bit of this soil, put them over, label it, good to go. I get down the line, I'm probably going to plant some lettuce in these different varieties of lettuce. I do the same thing. The lettuce seeds are very fine, but in fact, let's plant one, let's plant a container of winterboar kale. These seeds are a little bit smaller. Same process. I'm just imagining that you're cooking and the recipe adds for a couple of dashes of salt. I just go back and forth, and again, I'm probably putting in 200 or 300 seeds. If I see an area because they've fallen into a little shallow, just run your finger over and spread them out a little bit. If seeds are touching each other, don't worry about it. You'll see how easy that is to deal with when it comes time to transplant. Again, I take a handful of vermiculite, and right here in the time it's taken to do these two, I have probably 300 or 400 seeds that are in. We'll put them in the germination chamber in less than a week. They'll be up. I'll have a mat of seeds in here, and we'll show you exactly how to break them up and put them into your final cells. When I put them into the container, I'll put a clear dome over them, because the primary thing we want to do is to keep this moist. One thing I did not mention about the mix that you use: do not use a mix that has fertilizer in it, or is a mix like an ocean forest or a coast of Maine that has compost and all sorts of stuff in it. The reason being, when you're germinating seeds, the cells are so delicate that the nutrients that the initial root hairs come in contact with may actually burn the root hairs and kill the roots and kill the seedling. So, simple process. Commercial growing mix. Choose your container, whatever you want to use. Moisten the mix. Compress it down a little bit just to flatten it out. Put your seeds on, whether you do it in a scatter method or 1 or 2 per cell. Check your package to see if you're supposed to cover the seed or not. Cover it with vermiculite, and then the next step will be putting the tray into the proper environmental conditions so that you get good germination. The next video, what we're going to do is move over to the seed germinating chamber and show you exactly what that process is. So until next time, stay safe, wash your hands.